Hey, welcome, y'all. Welcome back to the ZORS. I'm your host, Yin, and let me just begin by letting you know, boy, oh boy, I do apologize for not putting out a show today. It was a big blizzard. I wasn't expecting it. The weatherman lied. He wasn't ready. Nobody was ready. Today flew by like nothing. Me scrambling the entire day was just out of control. But anywho, today I got a little doozy for you. It's a little bit different, a little bit off the beaten path. I don't think anyone's talking about this stuff. It is OGL related. However, it's something that I don't think is very well known. It does go back a little bit ways away to when the WotC crew had their little powwow called the Fireside Chat, which kind of started the entire drama that we're in right now. Now, before we begin, I want to let you know about today's sponsor. Today's sponsor is yours truly, because this channel is not monetized. I'm a little channel, okay? If you check out the links in the description below, you'll see that there are some donation links. Using any of the links below and making a donation is greatly appreciated. It does go a long way to helping improve the show. Every dime goes back into the show and increases the show's quality in every avenue possible. Okay, so God bless you, and now back to the program. Now today's stuff is, boy oh boy, pretty juicy. So for those of you not in the know, okay, this post goes all the way out to enworld.org, which is a site that's about tabletop RPG news. You can check that stuff out if you want to. I'll put the link in the description if you are so inclined. That'd be cool if you want to follow along. This is a post by Talien. The actual thread is called "The Fox in the Hen House," and it's about OpenD&D 5.5e OGL 1.1. And let me go ahead and scroll down. His full name is Michael Tresca. He's a cool guy. He's a freelance game columnist and author. This guy really broke this stuff down. So shout out to Talien. This is his stuff. I want him to get recognition for his hard work. This is very good stuff. He did what Wikipedia wishes it was, which is a clean explanation of what, don't you miss that, by the way? I really do miss Wikipedia when it was just clean. It used to have 1, 2, 3, you're in, you're out, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Now it's got all this mess and it's just a disaster. I can hardly look at it. But today's episode is not me complaining about Wikipedia. This is about this whole WotC stuff going on in the back scene. So here's what he has to say. Before WotC began rolling out its monetization plans for D&D, Hasbro was under fire for not doing enough. Alta Fox Capital's blueprint has turned out to be prescient. Now, who's Alta Fox? Alta Fox Capital is an activist investor firm. I wanted to put a pin on that for a moment, which owns 2.5% of Hasbro stock. Activist investors are typically specialized hedge funds that buy a significant minority stake in publicly traded companies to change how it's run. Unlike traditional takeovers from private equity firms, activist investors use the media and proxy contests, that's not good, and proxy contests to force change within a company. As you can imagine, activist investors are often a company's worst nightmare. Now, I want to put a pin on that for just a second and elaborate. And this is just me talking, okay? I would say that now that we know about this, looking back in retrospect for the last 10 years, I can see a whole slew of these activist firms being responsible for what's happening in entertainment in general. If you think about it, a lot of platforms and a lot of these media companies, the way they've been moving, the way they've been behaving, it was always too convenient. It was always too convenient. And I knew it wasn't just the ESG fun stuff. That's too small. It has to be bigger than that. There has to be somebody on the inside, financially holding these companies, quote unquote, accountable to moving in a certain direction. That's my take. Okay. So now back to the article, back to the thread. For a Long time, I'm gonna start with quote, for a long time, Hasbro's financial performance flew under the radar of investor scrutiny. That all changed when Alta Fox took an interest in Hasbro, and specifically in Wizards of the Coast. They launched their plan with a website, Free the Wizards, Free the Wizards, which has since been archived. In retrospect, it's clear that Alta Fox's activism had an outsized influence on the Wizards of the Coast we know today, unquote. That's really dark, because if you think about it, they must have had their hands in the pie for a long time, a very long time. I don't know how long, but I could tell with the amount of sales they've been trying to generate with Magic. Like, the Magic cards would be coming out so often. I'm just like, I can't even keep up anymore. At some point I was like, all right, I'm only going to pick and choose. Before then, I used to be looking at everything. Anyways, back to the article. Quote, the case to repair Hasbro. Alta Fox argued that Hasbro's board of directors needed a shakeup. Despite phenomenal growth in Hasbro's Wizards of the Coast, quote, Wizards division over the last 5 years, the company's stock price has significantly underperformed the broader market and its own benchmark over every relevant time frame. We attribute this underperformance to the board's exceptionally poor capital allocation and deficient investor disclosure and communication, unquote. Wow. This is too much. Look at this. They said the company's stock price has significantly underperformed. I have heard that phrase so often. It's ingrained in my brain. Now I'm like starting to build a cringe reaction to this thing. Every time I hear significantly underperformed, oh, didn't they make bazillion dollars? I'm sorry. Anyways, back to the article. Quote, Alta Fox pointed out that none of the board members had purchased shares of Hasbro over the last decade and received generous payouts, paid an average of $350,000 annually, higher than Apple, despite underperforming. According to Alta Fox, Hasbro's brand blueprint strategy was failing because it lacked financial discipline, an inability to sell successful branded video games, poor cost control compared to Mattel, and underinvestment in its crown jewel, intellectual properties like Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons, unquote. This sounds like somebody who is so out of touch. They don't know the community. They don't care about the community. They just see money. That's all they see. Money. That's what it sounds like, right? When they're talking about your inability to sell successful branded video games, you don't understand video games, do you? Do you understand? Like, people who say that you can't sell this successfully branded video game, time out. It's not just the brand. The video game is a completely different marketplace. The game needs to be good. It needs to actually work. There isn't any tweaking to a game. Even if it's a PC game, there's only so much somebody can do from a, consumer side. Even if they were to mod the game, that's not really what the out of the box experience is going to be for everybody. You're dreaming. What are you doing? Wake up. Okay, smell the roses. This is real life. You are not living real life. You need to know the market before you start talking about these things, or at least own it that you don't know what you're talking about. They're talking about like, yo, this game stuff should be good because it's branded D&D and Magic the Gathering. And that's not how this works, my guy. Video gamers are very particular. They know what they like, and they have had a good taste of all the different flavors, and they're very, 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 very unforgiving. If it ain't on point, most gamers are walking away, okay? You can't be saying just because you slap the brand on it, it should be good. That just successfully branded does not mean a good game. I'm sorry. You don't know what you're talking about. So, you can feel it. I can feel the tone deafness of Alta Fox. They don't know what they're doing. They just talking. And you can see why You can see why Wizards is in such dire straits right now. This is the kind of people leading the charge, right? It's not just the CEOs and the executives. It's also the shadowy hand of this venture capitalistic firm. Okay, going back to the article, quote, to fix this, AltaFox recommended 4 nominees to the board. Oh boy. Sorry, that's me. Quote, Marcello Fisher of IDT Corporation, a cloud communications and financial services company, John Finkel, managing partner and co-chief investment officer at Landscape Capital Management and former professional Magic player, Ronnie Hublot, I'm sorry if I butchered that, Ronnie Hublot, a marketing exec and principal at Incline Strategies, and Caroline Johnson, Chief Transformation Officer of American International Group Incorporated. I don't know what they do. What does Chief Transformation Officer of American International Group do? AIG? Oh no, she's from AIG. Okay, this is starting to make sense. Quote, the dream team. I'm sorry. That was not expected. I did not expect that. The dream team, AltaFox argued, would shake things up. All right. Quote, moreover, AltaFox wanted Wizards of the Coast to be spun off. According to AltaFox, Hasbro's brand blueprint strategy was a cash cow in which WotC gave money to its parent company with little in return. They speculated that D&D and MTG made up of 90% of WotC's 2021 sales. It's quoted Cox as saying that there was an 8x to 10x audience potential in bringing tabletop brands to the digital side of the business. Of the 5 reinvestment opportunities, AltaFox's 5th recommendation was a one-stop shop digital subscription and pay-as-you-go offering for a true to physical D&D experience, similar to how Arena is a true to physical MTG experience. I'm gonna stop right there. Let me just pause right there. Okay, unquote. Let me pause right there. Let me just tell you. The MTG experience and the D&D experience are not the same thing. You're never gonna get the same thing. I'm sorry. You can't do with one what you did with the other. Okay, the audiences are different. They are. Okay, the mindset of the people are different. They are. Why people play one versus why people play the other are gonna be different. The dynamic is gonna be different. MTG is a innately, it's a competitive experience. It's innately competitive. Whereas D&D is collaborative. Okay, it's a collaborative experience. It needs that social interaction. It needs that back-to-back, bouncing off of each other. It's a creative, lived experience, right? You're in the moment. No one experience is the same. MTG, not to knock the game. I'm a long time player. Y'all know that. I play MTG. I have a good time with it. But I'd be lying to you if I told you, that the game itself, right, is the same as D&D. I'd be lying to you if I said that. It's not gonna have that same, melding of the two, when it comes to being on the platform, being on a online platform. It's not gonna have that cohesiveness. MTG is very easy to do that because again, you already have a whole history of these kind of games being out there. You have fighting games that worked out great online. You have, strategy games that worked out great online. D&D is too different. It's not going to be the same. It's not going to work out the same. And also there's already an experience online that you can already do if you want to just play without, having some sort of like DM. You can play an MMO, you can play a video game, an RPG or JRPG, whatever. You can play other games that have that experience without the machine, without the D&D person, like the actual DM person, the game master, the GM, the person who is facilitating the journey, who is playing all the other characters. You have a machine doing it for you instead, right? So why would you want This VTT, they're talking about VTTs. How would you want a VTT that's electronic, right? With an AI, which is what they were trying to push, this AI DM, it just doesn't make any sense. Who's paying for this? Who is it for? It's too broken of an audience. You have niched down so hard that you don't have an audience anymore. Maybe you have 10 people. Maybe you have 100. I'll give you 1,000. How about that? You're a big corporation. Maybe you get 1,000 people. But the charging of that 1,000 people is going to be minuscule to what you really want to get, right? Anyways, going back to the article. Sorry about that. A little rant. Quote, "It all came to a head with an election contest by shareholders on AltaFox's recommendations. AltaFox lost the vote, and that should have been the end of it. But the efforts to revitalize Hasbro and WotC in particular would be tremendously influential on the way the company's operating today. Hasbro takes notice. Although Hasbro rejected AltaFox's proposals, its next actions were aligned with their suggestions. Hasbro brought on 2 new board members, Elizabeth Hamren and Blake Jorgensen. Both were executives with experience in gaming technology operations and capital allocation. Hamren was a chief operating officer at Discord Inc. and worked on Xbox products, while Jorgensen previously served as chief financial officer for EA Electronic Arts. That wasn't the only change. Directors were asked to purchase shares on the open market, just as AltaFox had recommended. More to the point, the brand blueprint strategy that AltaFox loathed got a revamp. As that's kind of a okay. Oh, sorry. Let me get back to the article. That AltaFox loathed got a revamp as brand blueprint 2.0. Unquote. That feels like what they're doing with OGL. Like, we hate this. Yeah, okay, no problem. OGL 2.0 is still not good. Anyways, back to the article. Quote, "That was a 4-quadrant strategy in which Hasbro focused on a core group of 8 to 10 brands, including Dungeons and Dragons. The goal was to create $250 to $300 million savings annually over the next 3 years. Cox and Williams lay it all Come on, you can't say that. Cox and Williams lay it all out. In a USB fireside chat, Chris Cox and new WotC CEO Cynthia Williams sorry guys, shared their perspective on D&D's future. You'll see us leaning heavily into the expansion of D&D through D&D Beyond. The acquisition that we did that closed this past May, we have about 13 million customers, registered users that we will continue to serve by giving them more ways to express their fandom. When Williams mentioned that the D&D brand is under-monetized, it sounded a lot like the same claim made by AltaFox. She pointed out that Dungeon Masters only made up 20% of the customer base, with an untapped player base that could be unlocked as recurrent spenders, with more than 70% of digital gaming profits coming from the post-sale. The D&D monetization strategy, according to Cox, would be Hasbro's prime opportunity to implement brand Blueprint 2.0. We are now seeing that strategy in action. Although AltaFox didn't get its board's members listed, it seems it still got its way. All right, unquote. All right, so there's that. This is very interesting stuff. If you guys want to see the comments as well, I'll put the link in the description. You guys can go there and take a gander there. Someone in the comments said, either greed cannot leave well enough alone, or capitalism at its finest. I think it's greed cannot leave well enough alone, because they had a very successful brand, which is unfortunate that they are running it into the sand. It is. I didn't mean to rhyme there. But anyways, this is very interesting to me. I think we're on a precipice. Anywho, I don't want to black pill you. This is fine, because at the end of the day, there's so many games out there. But I find this very fascinating either way, because it gives me a window to the back. You know, the back after the Chris Cox and was it Cynthia Williams comment above, that got me so bad. It's not even a comment. It's just like he put it in bold as the as the heading. It just makes no sense why he would do that. Talien, you funny guy. If it's unintentional, you're a genius. Unintentionally a genius. It's so funny. But anyways, back to my main point. I think this is one of those things where you have to kind of look you have to zoom out and you have to look at it from a humorous perspective as opposed to like doom and gloom perspective, because we don't have control over this. We can only control ourselves, our reaction to this whole thing, and to ego invest yourself so much that it upsets you is not healthy. I think what's much more healthier is taking what we learn from this and moving forward and doing something good with it, right? I'm learning all about other RPGs I've never, looked into before. I didn't know about OSR. I'll be honest with you. I've played Dungeons and Dragons 1.0, and I've played the first edition, and I've played a second edition, and I played AD&D, right? I played those. I played 3.0. I played Pathfinder. I played 3.5. But what I didn't do, I never knew about the online community that surrounded this stuff, right? I didn't know about drive-through RPG. This is so interesting to me. I'm so happy that I've been exposed to this new world of games, and a lot of them are free too. It's so fascinating. My brain, it's like a door has been unlocked, and I've been thinking of like all these different module ideas and systems and stuff. It really feels like my brain is on fire, which I'm hoping everything's okay. It's like that SpongeBob episode where everybody's running around in his mind. That's what it feels like. I hope everything's okay. But anywho, back to my point. I think this is going to be a bright future for us. I really do. I think this is one of those times where we're learning from something from the megacorp side of things and how that functions, and we're learning about us as far as ego investments and as far as our own ability to problem solve, right? Life is a game. You got to figure out how to problem solve. So anywho, I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know what you think in the comment section. This is going to be the last time for a while that I'll be talking about the OGL. I'm not going to be actively trying to talk about OGL stuff. I want to do more constructive stuff and more fun stuff, more creative stuff. So we're going to be tackling more of those kind of things. Again, we don't know what the future holds. Maybe tomorrow there'll be something about the OGL that's going to blow our minds and we'll be back at it again. And unfortunately, if that's the case, that's the case. But I do have plans. There's going to be a lot more mindset stuff. I love to talk about mindset stuff. I hope you'll join me with that. I hope you join me when I talk about, RPG stuff, when we talk about fantasy stuff, when we talk about writing stuff. Hope you join me. It's going to be a great time. Anywho, I'm Yin. Thank you so much. Have a great day and God bless you. Take care.